Did you know? When I think of the light that God represents, I imagine something that is always around us, even if our physical eyes cannot see it. Just like the sun that shines above the clouds, its light remains present, warming and giving life, even at times when everything seems cloudy. This light is constant, like a presence that doesn't disappear, regardless of our perceptions, our fears, our weaknesses. You may wonder how it is possible to feel something that often seems so far away. But the truth is that this divine light doesn't depend on feeling or seeing. It exists in the depths of each and every one of you. To find this light, you must first look within, in the silence of your heart. In times of noise and haste, it can seem difficult to feel this presence. But it is in the midst of silence that it reveals itself, like a gentle flame, a light and constant warmth. Imagine that every beat of your heart is a confirmation that the life that created you is pulsating in you. I remember that when I healed those who came to me, my intention was always to be a doorway so that this divine light could touch everyone's heart. Because deep down, the healing didn't come from me, but from that light that never stops flowing, never stops being present. Perhaps you are facing difficulties, feeling that the darkness around you is too great. But I tell you, even when it seems that all is lost, that light keeps shining. The darkness, no matter how deep it may seem, can never extinguish the light within you. And this light is not just a symbol of God. It is God, the very essence of creation, which has always existed and will always exist. In every star, in every sunrise, in every living being, this presence manifests itself and continues to call us to return to it. It is a light that is not limited to the places where we look. It doesn't just belong in the sky, in a temple, or in a moment of peace. It is also there in your most difficult moments and in everyday situations. When you reach out to help someone, when you choose not to judge, when you forgive, you feel this light, because it expresses itself in your actions and thoughts. And it calls you to recognize it not as something external, but as something that lives within you, as part of your very being. Little by little, as you look with this intention, you realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, is separate from this light. It connects each and every one of us, which is why no one is alone. You are part of a totality that is never extinguished, and this truth accompanies you wherever you are, wherever you go. Every step, every breath, every moment is an invitation to live with this awareness. When we accept that this light is always present, the desire arises to connect more intimately with it, like someone searching for a flame that never goes out. When you choose to open your heart to this light, you begin to understand that connecting with the source is not an effort, but a surrender. God as light is always waiting, like a flame that never goes out, just waiting for you to recognize it. And this connection doesn't require complicated rituals or special words. It happens in the silence of a moment of surrender, in the simplicity of an instant in which you breathe and feel life flowing into you, knowing that this life comes from an eternal and unchanging source. This source, this light, is also what sustains you in moments of uncertainty. Connecting with it doesn't mean running away from the world or avoiding life's challenges. On the contrary, it's an invitation to face each situation with more clarity and peace. When you turn to this light within you, it becomes a beacon in the midst of the storms of existence, offering a broader vision, where you see things as they really are, free from the filters of fear and anxiety. It's like having an enlightened view of your own steps, of your journey, understanding that you never walk alone. The practice of connecting with the source of light begins with the intention to open up to it. When you bring this desire to your heart, you begin to notice the peace that gradually settles into your mind and soul. It may seem difficult at first, like learning something new, but with each moment of connection, you realize that this light has always been there, waiting for you to notice it. Over time, this contact becomes natural, like breathing, because you are actually just remembering something that has always been there. Imagine that inside you there is a sacred space, a place where the light of God dwells. By connecting with this light, you allow it to take over your being and illuminate everything around you. Your choices, your words, your gestures. You become a channel through which this divine presence manifests itself, and this is one of the greatest gifts you can offer the world. Each time you return to this source, this flame burns brighter, and you begin to see life in a way you may never have seen it before, full of possibilities and with a deep sense of peace and purpose. This practice can be a simple moment during the day when you turn inwards. Take a deep breath and feel the presence of this light. It can be a silent prayer, a pause to give thanks, or even a thought of kindness that you send to someone. Connecting with Source is more than a practice. It's a way of life. And when you open up to this light, you notice that something begins to change in you. And with that, everything around you also takes on more color and meaning. When this connection strengthens, you begin to realize that darkness and challenges are not as threatening as they once seemed. The light gives you the strength and clarity to face every difficulty. We all carry parts of ourselves that we often prefer not to look at. These are shadows that appear in the form of fears, guilt, pain, and memories that don't seem to go away. At such times, the presence of God's light is like a lantern that illuminates our inner selves, revealing that we don't need to fear what we find there. When we allow God's light to touch these hidden parts, they begin to lose the strength that previously paralyzed us, and we begin to see what we previously avoided with new understanding and courage. Inner darkness is like a space that has actually always been waiting for the light. Every repressed emotion, every ignored pain, is like a room in our soul that is ready to be illuminated and cleansed. By bringing God's presence into these places, you not only dissolve the shadows, but also realize that they had something to teach. Perhaps there was a lesson in compassion for yourself, an invitation to forgive yourself, or an opportunity to let go of the past. God does not ask us to avoid pain, but to face it with confidence, knowing that we are not alone. When I was in Palestine, I saw how suffering and fear consumed many hearts, like heavy shadows over the eyes of those who believed they were forgotten, helpless. And in healing and teaching, I simply brought this divine light, allowing it to touch these hearts as gently as the sun touches the face of the earth at dawn. Each person who allowed themselves to be looked at with this light found a new vision, a vision without judgment, without labels, just the pure understanding of who they really were. Because by letting the divine light illuminate their own shadow, they recognized the truth about themselves, that they were worthy of love, compassion, and peace. It's not about denying pain, but understanding that it is part of our journey, and that by letting the divine light in, it helps us to transform it. In every pain, there is an opportunity for healing. In every shadow, a chance to grow stronger. God is present in each of these experiences, always waiting to guide each of us along the path that leads to understanding and relief. And this understanding is reflected in inner peace, in a tranquility that settles in little by little, like the clarity that is revealed when a storm begins to dissipate. As you allow this light to illuminate your pain, you begin to notice a subtle and powerful change. The problems that once seemed so difficult, the hurts that seemed so intense, all this begins to lose weight. Because when you look at these issues with the divine light, you begin to see that they don't define who you are. You are so much more, and the light that accompanies you every step of the way is proof of that. And the more this light shines in you, the more you feel the desire to spread it to the world, reflecting in your actions the love you have found in yourself. When this light begins to shine in you, it naturally overflows and touches the world around you. Everything you do, every word, every gesture, every choice, begins to reflect the peace and love of this divine presence. Being a light in the world is not about doing great things, but about living each moment with full awareness and an open heart, allowing God to manifest through you. Each of you has the capacity to be that light, a source of kindness and compassion in a world that often walks in darkness. This light can be reflected in small but deeply meaningful actions. When you choose to offer a word of comfort to someone in pain, when you choose to be patient in a hurry, or offer a smile to someone who looks tired, you are letting that light shine. It is these attitudes that gradually transform the environment around you. Because by reflecting the divine presence in your actions, You awaken that same light in other people, inspiring them to live with more love, to have more hope, and to trust that they are also worthy of that peace. I remember when I was approached by a group of men who wanted to belittle me, to test what I said. Instead of reacting with anger or resentment, I chose to speak with truth and serenity, because I knew that each of them carried within them the potential for this light, even if they didn't recognize it at the time. Every choice to act with love is an opportunity to plant a seed, to remember that we are all part of the same source. No matter how small that action may seem, it always brings about a transformation. Being a light in the world also means understanding that it won't always be easy. There will be times when you are confronted, challenged, or misunderstood. But it is in these moments that the light that God has placed in you shines even brighter. By choosing to act with compassion and patience when the situation calls for the opposite, you take another step towards building a world where love and kindness prevail. And even if you don't see the immediate effect, rest assured that the light you share continues to illuminate, creating an impact that goes beyond what the eye can see. And so, with every gesture, every word, and every silence, you become a living reflection of God's love. You realize that this light, which once seemed like an internal quest, now expresses itself freely, spreading wherever you go. And by living in this way, your heart is filled with the peace of knowing that the same light that shines in you also shines in every being, and that this truth unites us deeply. When you allow yourself to live in communion with this light, you begin to realize that the answers you've always sought are closer than you think. The peace you have longed for and the answers to life's deepest dilemmas are not out there, in circumstances or in someone else. They are within you, in the silent and loving presence of God who dwells in your own heart. It is in this divine light that true wisdom resides, a wisdom that goes far beyond human understanding, because it touches the essence of who we are and what life means. This peace is not an absence of problems, but an inner security, a confidence that remains, regardless of the circumstances around you. When you connect with this light, you begin to access a calm that sustains, a tranquility that reminds you that you are part of something bigger, that everything has a purpose, and that nothing is by chance. Even in the midst of challenges, you realize that you are not helpless, that the same light that created the universe guides you and welcomes you. It reminds you that you are safe, and that true peace does not depend on what happens around you, but on the clarity and confidence that arise from within. The wisdom of the light does not come as theoretical knowledge, but as a truth lived and felt in the heart. Every time you gather to listen to it, you feel this wisdom springing up in the form of intuitions, deep insights, and a certainty that guides you in moments of doubt. Sometimes it will be like a calm voice whispering the next step, and other times like a sense of peace that calms and strengthens you. The more you open up to this presence, the more you realize that there are no questions left unanswered, because divine wisdom is patient and always reveals itself at the right time. As you get used to listening to this inner light, you realize that you can trust it. It is the anchor in the midst of storms, the answer that transcends human understanding and brings you a vision of love and goodness for every situation. And the more you live with this trust, the more life becomes a reflection of this peace. Little by little, the fears that used to paralyze you begin to disappear, because you know that you are not alone, that the wisdom of the light leads you and illuminates every step of the way. And so, when you find this peace and this wisdom within you, you begin to live with a greater purpose. The light that once seemed distant now becomes your reality, your essence. And the peace it brings spreads like waves, touching everything and everyone around you. Every situation becomes an opportunity to live this truth, to be a channel for this divine presence that inhabits and guides you. Because when you find this peace, you realize that it is also the peace that the world so desperately seeks. And by living this truth, you become a light for the world, a light that heals, illuminates, and transforms. May this light, which is the very presence of God in you, continue to shine ever brighter, illuminating your path and bringing peace to your life. Remember that you carry the divine flame in your being. It is your guide, your source of wisdom and the answer to everything your heart seeks. To live connected to this light is to become a beacon to the world, to be a channel of love, peace, and truth. So take this presence with you and allow it to inspire every step you take. If this message has touched your heart, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with anyone you feel needs this light. Please also comment on your impressions. Every word is a chance to ignite the light in someone else. Thank you for being with me until the end. May your journey be blessed, and may you discover the peace that dwells within you.